It's an army strategy. And our armed forces have already explained it. The Director General of Military Operations in an immediate press conference said it was a strike against terrorism. It was a preemptive strike against terrorism. You have launch pads along the LOC where the army may be maintaining them, but ostensibly the terrorists wait, and then they are smuggled into the Indian territory. The army had information as per the DGMO, and therefore the information proved to be accurate. And the army took a preventive strike against those launch pads itself. I think in the current environment, particularly post-Uri, the armed forces, and of course armed forces are under civilian control, are therefore entitled to strategize how to best defend the sovereignty and territory of India. We can't allow a situation where Pathankot happens, Uri happens, and then it becomes business as usual. And therefore, a time had come where India had to redraw the lines. I'm extremely pained that such a situation should have arisen. I've always said about him, and I've said this earlier, I'll only repeat the phrase that I had used. The more he grows, the more he immatures. Now, when you grow, you are expected to be statesmanlike. Here is national sovereignty at stake. Here, your armed forces, at the risk of their lives, get a one-way ticket and go into the enemy territory in order to defend the boundaries of India. And the armed forces are common to all citizens. They are not common to a particular party in power or in opposition. And therefore, the armed forces need a unanimous backing of the entire country. We don't have to drag them into our domestic politics merely because if your party is doing badly doesn't mean you start inventing arguments of this kind. And the kind of statements which have been made expressing doubts as to what senior officers of the armed forces may have said, and questioning that and asking for further proof. Has it ever happened? You see, did anybody ask the governments in the past? We've had several wars to produce footage and evidence of what happened in the war. Is it ever a part of a military strategy or a security strategy that this is ever done? The government took all the right steps. Immediately after the surgical strikes, the Prime Minister called a meeting of the Cabinet Committee. Thereafter, an all-party meeting of leaders of opposition was called. The former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was briefed in person. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi was briefed in person. Leaders of all political parties were called and briefed by us ministers collectively. The Home Minister telephoned and took all the important chief ministers into confidence and briefed them. So in that sense, we built a larger political consensus by briefing everyone. And when the leaders of opposition were called, the DGMO came and made a presentation to the leaders of the opposition. So it was not merely a political dialogue. Now, we've done everything in the textbook that we could have done. I think those who've made some statements of the kind which we have seen, I think have ill-advised themselves. They haven't helped the country, and certainly they haven't helped their own politics either.